I'm Rose from Grandma Rose's Open Pantry. Promise is here today. And we did our ice cream segment during the summertime, and as we said on our last video where we did the cookies, that we were going to have a cookie segment. So we haven't got our wheel fixed yet, but we're going to do that in the next, promise to be here until tomorrow, so we'll do that later today so we can spin our wheel, see which cookies that we're going to fix every time. So today we're going to do red velvet. It's supposed to be red velvet crinkle, but Promise is wanting an icing on them, and we're going to make a cream cheese icing. So we still are probably going to make them crinkle, the red velvet crinkle cookies. That way we'll have some with icing, some without icing. So to start off,
Wait, you have.
I've got the recipe on my phone.
I mean, you're.
Oh, I'm just cooking some, down some grapes, some muscadines that I'm going to make jelly out of, or a cobbler or something. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do. But anyway, I'm going to half the recipe today. So I'm going to be very careful. I think I've got everything measured out in half, but I'm going to recheck it as I put it in my mixer. So to begin with, it calls for 3 cups of all-purpose flour, and I use King Arthur. I like King Arthur. I use it in my gluten-free flour. Now, White Lily is really, really good. I love White Lily flour, but I also like King Arthur. So I'm using King Arthur today because the last couple of times I've been to the grocery store, our little Walmart here, it's not a super Walmart, it's just like a Walmart market kind of, and it has not had any White Lily flour at all. All it's had is like the Great Value brand, and I think one more. But so if I can't get the White Lily, then I order the King Arthur. So it calls for 3 cups. So when I half that, it's going to be 1.5 cups of, this is all-purpose flour. So I just level it off like that. Promise, I need to get another bowl. Wait just a minute. I'll use this one because I'm going to mix all my dry ingredients in one bowl. So that is 1 cup, and I'll just put half of this one again. So that's 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and in this I'm going to put, it calls for, the full recipe is a 1/4 cup of cocoa, so 3 tablespoons is a 1/4 cup. So I've got 1.5 tablespoons in there, and then it calls for 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and in here I have 1 teaspoon of baking powder. It calls for 3/4 teaspoons of salt, so I put like a 1/3 teaspoon of salt, and it calls for 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and I put 1/8 of a teaspoon of baking soda. So mixing all my dry ingredients together, and okay. That's all my dry ingredients. So I'm just going to kind of mix them with a whisk together like this. And I'm going to set these to the side while I do my wet ingredients. Now after we get this mixed, it's going to have to sit in the refrigerator. It said 2 hours to chill. And it said that was a very important step. Sometimes I don't let my cookies sit, but it said it was a very important step, so I'm going to do that today. All right, now it calls for a 1/2 cup of butter. So I've got a 1/4 cup because a 1/4 cup is half of a half. And then it calls for a 1/3 cup of cream cheese. So I've got my cream cheese right here, softened cream cheese, and it calls for 1 1 1/4 cups of granulated sugar, so I have 3/4 cups of sugar. I'm calling this over as I do it to make sure I have halved it. I'm going to put this down, and I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to beat all this together on low, and I'm not going to talk because this makes a lot of noise. Alright, now to this, I'm adding 2 eggs. It calls for 3 large eggs, but my son-in-law Philip, Promise's dad, just brought me, he has chickens, and he just brought me these eggs today. So they're real fresh, and one of them was like a medium egg, so I'm putting 2 in there because it wasn't 2 large eggs. And I'm going to turn it back up, and I'm going to beat that. Butter, it called for a tablespoon of milk, so I put like a 1/2 tablespoon of milk, but I put that in the butter. So, and it calls for 2 teaspoons of vanilla, so I'm going to put 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then it calls for red food coloring. And it calls for 1.5 tablespoons of red food coloring. Tablespoons, okay. So this is a tablespoon. I'm going to put it not quite full. And that will be 1/2 of 1.5 tablespoons. Now I'm being real careful with that because I do not want that. I'm going to put a little bit more because some of it stayed in my spoon. I do not want this to splatter on me. So I'm going to be really, really careful with this. Put that over there. Okay, I'm going to turn it up for a minute. Now I'm putting my dry ingredients in. Turn it up a little bit. Alright, I'm going to lift this up and I'm going to scrape down my sides. Now I'm being real careful with this because I do not want to get red food coloring on me. Okay. Now I'll mix it. I'm not mixing it as much as I would like a cake. I just want to get it incorporated. Okay. This is our cookie mixture right here. And I'm going to clean out a bowl and I'm going to put this in it. And we're going to leave it in the refrigerator. The reason you have to put it in the refrigerator, promise, you see it's it's not thick like cookie dough. So you have to put it in the refrigerator for that butter and that cream cheese to kind of get real cold, and it'll make your cookies more solid. So I'm going to put this in a bowl and put it in the refrigerator, and when Promise and I start to put it on our cookie sheet, we'll be back with you.
And make our icing, because aren't we going to?
Oh yeah, we're going to make our icing. Yeah, we'll do that while our cookies are cooking, but we'll come on and show you how we're going to do that. All right. Y'all know I'm impatient, so I put my dough in the freezer instead of the refrigerator. And I have got, and you just get up a scoopful, ever how much you want. I'm using just a tablespoon. And so this is powdered sugar right here. So you just make your little rounds. You dip it, you roll it in powdered sugar. Put it on your cookie sheet. And it makes the prettiest cookie. It's called a red velvet crinkle cookie. So, ever what size you want to do it. And this is supposed to make 4 dozen cookies, but remember I have the recipe. And I have made a cream cheese icing to go on some of them back here. I'll tell you how I did that. But when it gets closer to the holidays, we're going to do a red velvet cake, so I'll show you how I make my cream cheese icing. But most of you know how to make cream cheese icing. But, so, I'm just going, whoops! No, I made a mess. So I'm just going to keep rolling these. Put them on my cookie sheet. And they are going to cook 10 to 13 minutes on 350. And after that, I'm not going to show you me putting them in the oven and all that. I'll just bring you back when we take our first batch out of the oven and put our icing on it. So just give us like probably 15 minutes. I'll finish rolling this first batch out and then we'll put them in the oven. Okay, our cookies are ready. And they spread out a little bit more than I thought they would, but that's okay.
You mean you pushed them down?
I did, but I didn't these. And I've got another pan ready to go in the oven. So, I'm supposed to let these cool for a few minutes.
You put them on for another minute, right?
I did. I cooked them, it said 10 to 13 minutes. I cooked them 12 minutes. So I'm going to just, you know what, I'm going to let these cool for a minute. Then I'm going to dip them back in my powdered sugar to get more, a little bit more powdered sugar on them. Then I'm going to put them on my tray right here and let them cool. And after they cool, then we're going to ice some of them with this cream cheese icing. And this is just butter, cream cheese, and powdered sugar. It's probably a tablespoon, about an ounce of butter, an ounce of cream cheese, and about a little over a cup of powdered sugar. And I just took a fork or a whisk and just whisked it up. I didn't even get my mixer out. So, and it's real smooth. So, give me just, I'm gonna let this cool a couple of minutes because I can't handle them. And when they're this hot, if I try to put them in my powdered sugar, they are going to break apart. And I don't want that to happen. So we'll be back in a minute. Cookies are cool. And I don't know why. I've never had this problem before. I decided I'm not going to roll them in powdered sugar because they're prettier like this. And we're going to ice some of them. But usually they crack open a little bit and the powdered sugar on top, it just looks like a crinkle cookie. I don't know what happened this time, but I've never had this happen before. But we'll try it again another time, and hopefully it's going to, they're delicious. Promise has already tasted one, and they are really, really good. So I don't know what happened, but they're delicious, and taste is what counts. So they're still hot. We're not going to ice any right now. Let me try something. All right. Let me try to ice one and see what it's going to do. We'll do this one.
Do a big one.
I'm thinking it's going to melt off though because they're hot.
Come here.
And if we have any cream cheese icing left, we can always find something to do with it. So, okay, it may stay on. We'll see. We're just gonna put a little icing on it. Promise she loves cream cheese icing. Okay, Promise and I will not be outdone. So since our crinkle cookies didn't turn out like we wanted them to, and we were gonna put some icing on some of them anyway, she said, Grandma, why don't we put nuts on? And my others, I just heard my timer go off. So we're just icing these. I don't think I'm gonna ice the ones in the oven because Granddaddy likes them. He loves the nuts, but He's not so fond of the cream cheese icing.
Ooh, I love it.
Oh, I do too. Wow. So, let me see about these in the oven, promise. Aren't those beautiful cookies? I love the nuts on them. Let me check on these. Okay. Now these are, I don't understand, promise. These are more crinkly than those were.
Well, it doesn't matter about those because we put icing on them.
Yeah.
So these are the ones that matter if they're crinkly.
Okay. Let me pull this over. So, all right. This is kind of the way they're supposed to look right here. But you know how it is in the kitchen. Things don't always turn out like you think they will, but you know what? You can always fix it. There's always a way to. If it don't turn out just like you wanted it to, then that's a good chance to be inventive and do something different. Just like putting the nuts and the icing on these little cookies. And Promise has already tasted one, and Roy has too. And they say they are delicious. So I'm not gonna put icing on these because Roy doesn't prefer it. So, all right. I chopped up just about enough pecans, and these are pecans. And
Pecans.
our cream cheese icing.
You say it wrong.
No, it's pecans.
Pecans.
I was raised saying pecans. I know some people say pecan, pecan.
Pecan.
I had never heard pecan until Jenny started dating Philip, Promise's daddy. And he said pecan. I said, what? He said pecans. I said, what are you talking about? Because I never had heard the term pecan. I mean, everybody around here says pecan. So now you hear everybody saying every kind of way. So, okay, this is our red velvet crinkle cookies with cream cheese icing and pecans. We just changed the name of it. So thank y'all for joining me and Promise this afternoon and in making our cookies. And tune in next week. You never know what kind of cookie we're gonna make. We're gonna fix our wheel, and whatever the wheel lands on is what we're gonna make next time. So thank y'all for joining us. Subscribe, hit that little notification bell, and it will notify you when I upload another video. And I love y'all, and share my video please, and give me a thumbs up.